So this afternoon I have Tim Hodges from Vincent Group. So thanks, Tim, for joining me.
Pleasure.
So Tim, you work with Prav Paul, Thierry Lemaire. So those are the two key partners in the Vincent Group. And so huge thanks for you joining me this afternoon. I know you've been away on a holiday, so I've caught up with you, and it'd be interesting.
Pleasure.
Your views on Brexit. I haven't really gone into an explanation of how you've connected with Prav as well and Thierry. So you were an investor for a very, very long time.
That's right.
But in the last couple of years, in about two years ago, maybe a little bit less, you've connected with Prav and Thierry. You've really synergized since last October, November. Is that correct? Through Prav's brother Harinder, who's been really the cog in the wheel, who's got things moving. And rather than looking at smaller projects, you're focusing on larger projects, pulling resources together.
Yeah, I mean, I met the guys 3 years ago, and you're right. We were all individual investors, and for myself, I was doing a number of things. I was trading. I was also building up a small portfolio, and I was doing small refurbs. So I was dealing with single lets. So I had my own B&B trading business, and then I met Prav through the B&B forum, I believe, and things really started from there, and hooked up with a mastermind group, including the likes of Justin Harris, Ed Folkes, Ben Bettler, who some of you may know, and obviously Thierry and Prav. And then from there, Prav and Thierry and myself started up with the Vincent Developments Limited, and Harinder, as you rightly said, sort of came into the mix in sort of October time. And that's when we did our sourcing workshop, which I know some of your listeners were probably aware of. In terms of your other point, in terms of the projects, we're not necessarily just focusing on large projects. Really, do you want me to sort of explain to you our criteria? Our buying criteria currently, which has changed since post-Brexit, is that we're only interested in timeline projects of 12 months. So definition of a large project is probably not that. I mean, for us, that's sort of small to medium size projects. So anything up to that has a timeline of 12 months. And we do look at small projects as well, such as, I mean, our Roehampton project, which is due to complete in the next few weeks. And we bought that for 500. And we added just 2 more units, but the returns on that are a lot greater. So we don't pigeonhole ourselves into large projects, but what we are focusing on is really going back to basics, and that's location. So we always look for something that has a high PTAL rating of 4+, and PTAL, for those of your listeners who aren't aware of it, if you just Google it, it's a government website that assesses the transport links for your site. And we're only interested in sites that have great transport links, because that means not only the demand should be greater there, but also for planning purposes, it does mean with a high PTAL rating, we don't need to set aside parking spaces, which just means that we can utilize that square footage more effectively. Our margins, we have increased our margins. So our planning gain margins, we look for 30%, whereas worst case is 25% margins on GDV. We're very strict on that. And again, we look at sites with existing planning, but only when we can enhance the planning. And again, if we're left with a margin of 25%, and we'll do it. And with the enhanced planning, we look to get 30%. So we expect to be buying less sites, but the sites we will be buying are going to be having some great returns. So, and we're still concentrating on Greater London only.
Sure. Hey, Tim, the key questions are on, obviously, your strategies change post-Brexit. Where do you see the economy going in terms of the property, and your focus is mostly London as well? So where do you see the economy going in terms of property? What strategies, what data have you seen which useful for listeners to take up?
Well, I mean, the data that I'm sure everyone else has read in the papers, I mean, compared to 2014, the GDP growth was 2.9%, whereas I think it's forecasted to be, it was for pre-Brexit, it was forecast between 1.8 and 2.5%. Now, post-Brexit, obviously, there's going to be less. RICS forecasters are saying there's going to be a ditch. It's a good reason why surveyors are generally taking 10% off. Yeah?
We lost you there for about a minute. Is it possible just to just go back to your last sentence for my listeners?
Okay. The RICS forecasters are basically saying there's going to be a dip in house prices. Surveyors are taking 10% of GDVs, and this is all projections. We are in a state of limbo. I mean, no one obviously has a crystal ball and can basically say what's going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months. But the state of limbo, I think, suffice to say, it's going to last until the end of 2017. The Brexit terms are still yet to be finalised. So, in essence, there's a sense of uncertainty in the market. What that means for us, well, on a more national scale, you could argue that institutions and countries that are looking to invest in the UK may be pausing in that respect, purely because they don't know what the Brexit terms are. However, what we have seen on a more local scale and on an individual scale from individual investors, foreign investors have a big appetite at the moment, purely because obviously the currency exchange means that they're getting an instant discount. So we're seeing a lot of inquiries from foreign investors who are interested in some of our stock. But in the broader scheme of things, it does mean, because the sense of uncertainty is there, it does mean that some investors are hesitant in investing in projects. But on the flip side, it does mean, especially this time of year, when there are sites up for sale, vendors are being realistic and are willing to be more flexible on their asking prices. So that's what we're seeing anyway. So there is more flexibility on the vendor side to put in some below asking price offers, and it does mean that our margins are going to be slightly more challenging to achieve. However, with sites that are on the market at this time of the year, when it's not really the buying season, you know that the sites that are on the market are going to be from motivated sellers. So we're taking a stance of seeing this first of all as an opportunity to buy some great sites, but also having a slight pause for thought in terms of what's going to happen in the next 12, 24 months, and if we need to change anything in terms of what we're currently doing. At the moment, I know some of the guys just come back from holiday. I don't think there's a lot that we're going to change in terms of our buying criteria, other than looking to see how we can provide the same returns for our investors, which up to this date have been very good, and we want to try and stick to that. Sure.
Tim, I know my Wandsworth audience, have lots of questions about the projects which you've done and so forth. So I'm keen at some point to get back online with you and go through a little bit more in detail. But it might also be worth coming back and connecting with you in a couple of months' time when the picture of what's going to happen, Brexit's going to be a little bit clearer, when the property market's a bit more active as well, because August is usually a quiet month by and large.
Yeah.
So I really want to say huge thanks for you taking time out this afternoon.
My pleasure.
Tim, what's the best way for people to connect with you? Is it through a website or email?
Email is the best way to contact me, and even better than that, I have a PA called Sabina who manages my diary, because I'm pretty poor at it, purely on the basis of the things that I'm doing at the moment. And she is very good at managing my life at the moment in terms of my business calendar. So if you want to email Sabina, which is Sabina at vincitgroup.co.uk, that's VINCIT group.co.uk. So in the first instance, if you email her, and then she will sort of prioritize the emails, and obviously from your listeners, she will, if they want to have a chat with me, then she can just organize, a convenient time for all to put something in my calendar for us to have a chat.
Sure. I'm going to say, who are you looking particularly to attract? What type of investors? Because I know one of your roles in Vincent is investor relations. So who would be your ideal investor?
Ideal investor is someone who wants to grow with us. It's always good to have an investor who not only just wants to come in on just one project, but also is keen to be involved in multiple projects. So, for example, some of the investors are now with Vincit have been with me personally for the last 10 years. And with that, you build an element of trust. You build a great relationship. And because of that, it means the relationship in terms of explaining the projects we do becomes a lot easier, and they have a better understanding on the projects that we're involved in and how we work. So, in short, we're happy to speak to any investor, as long as they're sophisticated or high net worth investors who want to invest for either a fixed return or an equity return.
Sure. Tim, I'm going to leave it for that for the moment. We've explained how to get a hold of you via your Sabina. So it's Sabina at vincitgroup.co.uk. Yep. And Tim, people can join you in conversations as well through a magazine called Property Investor News Magazine. You're a regular contributor to that magazine for some time.
Yes, that's right. I think I was one of the first subscribers to that magazine, and I've been writing there in some capacity for, well, lost count how many years. It's got to be 8 or 9 years, something like that. Wow. And now I'm writing on behalf of the Vincit Group. So whereas before it was on behalf of myself, and I actually wrote under. It was under Confessions of a Property Investor, and now it's Confessions of a Property Developer. So yeah, every month.
Brilliant. Tim, I just want to say huge thanks, and a huge thanks to your PA for organising this meet as well today.
No, thank you for the opportunity, and happy investing to your listeners.
Thanks, Tim. Bye for the moment.
Thanks. Cheers.